So you can just kind of shout out answers at me that you think. Like I said, I don't expect you to know these things. So the first question is, what is the difference between an interest/specialist interest and a fixation obsession? So I always differentiate the two. So we've got fixation and obsession and specialist interest. I'm not sure what you think the difference is between them both. Do you have any ideas?
It is not.
Fixation would not that be when you cannot stop, when you've got interest, you can take a break, you can exchange the idea, but when you are fixated, everything else around you doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's pretty much the general idea. So fixation and obsession is kind of a negative thing. So it's when you're sort of infatuated with something and you just can't stop. And it may cause anxiety, depression, and another array of mental health issues, and you literally just can't stop thinking about it or doing anything about it. Whereas a specialist interest is completely different, and a lot of autistic people do have a specialist interest in something, and that's something that they like to talk about, and they can sort of do research on and sort of watch videos on, etc., etc. But it doesn't necessarily have that sort of intensity of it, if that makes sense. So autism is often portrayed in a negative light. So I'm interested to know if anyone can tell me one positive trait of autism. Sort of when you look at autism, what's positive about it? Because everyone always focuses on the negatives.
A positive is my son has extreme, I'm dyslexic, I lose my words. There's extreme attention to detail.
Yeah.
You can see the smallest thing, and that's one.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm awful, so I'm just cutting myself.
That's alright, alright. Yeah, no, that's definitely one. Anyone else got a positive trait?
Memory.
Yeah, no, very good memory. Autistic people are often very loyal. They're sort of passionate in what they do and what they think about. And a lot of them think in very black and white, but often that's a good thing. For example, I think in very black and white, but that makes me a very non-judgmental person. Like, I would never judge anyone on their race or religion or sexual orientation, because I just think that they're people and that's it. So that's another positive trait as well. Does anyone know how many people in the UK are autistic? Any guesses?
700,000.
Yes, spot on. You know this. Does anyone have any idea? I don't know if anyone's seen Rain Man. It's quite a controversial portrayal of autism, and of course Dustin Hoffman's character has very many savant skills, and when people talk about autism often, they are portrayed as having these really amazing sort of musical, mathematical skills, and actually it's kind of a little bit of a myth. Only 1 in 10, this is by the National Autistic Society, only 1 in 10 people with autism have a savant skill, whether that be maths or music or whatever. I mean, I don't even know 7 times 8, so I'm definitely not mathematical savant. So obviously there's also a very big thing at the moment going around about the ratio of boys being diagnosed compared to girls being diagnosed. So the current ratio is 4 boys to 1 girl. And of course these sort of vary in different research articles that you use, but that's the general consensus. So it's 1 boy to 4 girls. That's a completely different topic, because there's so much about why girls aren't being diagnosed, why they're being misdiagnosed. There's lots of things about that, so maybe I can come back and talk about that another time. But quite a shocking statistic is the amount of autistic adults, the percentage of autistic adults in full-time employment. I don't know if anyone knows that statistic. So according to the National Autistic Society, only 16% of autistic adults are in full-time paid employment, which is, it's an awful statistic, and I think most of that is down to the fact, hiya.
I'm in part-time.
Oh, are you? Yeah. So actually, I think a lot of people with autism sort of, because I'm not in full-time employment, I'm self-employed, and I would say it's probably more part-time. So I guess a way to look at that is that the demand of working full-time might not, be great with autistic people, and also also, I think another thing is that I don't think a lot of workplaces are autistic friendly. So that's another different topic. And the last question is autism curable? I'm good, thank you. I was hoping no one would say yes. So, as well as talking about sort of fixation and obsession, I really want to show autism in a positive light because it's such a positive thing. It's a gift, and I think we should all celebrate it and stop thinking about it in such a negative light. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the difference between girls and boys and their obsessive behaviours and interests. Do you guys know any differences between boys and girls on the spectrum? Because a lot of research shows that boys and girls have different traits. So for example, girls are more socially able and they are more likely to mask their traits, and maybe that's why it's so difficult for them to get diagnosed. And another difference is, of course, their specialist interest. So there is a difference between specialist interests and obsessive behaviour, as we discussed. Specialist interests where autistic people have a healthy interest in their lives about anything, and obsessive behaviour or fixation is where the interest is negative and all takes over their lives. For example, I'm going to use my specialist interests and obsessions as sort of an example to sort of, give you guys a bit of a gauge about what I mean. So I have a specialist interest in some aspects of geography and history, and these are specialist interests, specialist subjects that I can actively pursue, so I can do research on them, I like talking about them, but they don't take over my life. It's almost a hobby, but sort of a more, focused hobby, if you like. And I have obsessive interests with people. These are negative interests, as obviously I cannot pursue them because unfortunately the people I've been obsessed with haven't liked me back, so it's a bit unfortunate, but obviously I cannot pursue them and they are unattainable usually because the people I'm obsessed with are normally in a position of power, so it's almost a hierarchical thing, so they're above me, so like teachers or doctors or something like that. When I've been younger, I've sort of had fixations with them, so obviously, nothing can ever happen, so that's negative obsession and it's very intense. So boys are more likely to have obsessions with objects, so this is not, set in stone, this is just what the research shows, and obviously, autism is a massive spectrum, and, it can go either way. But boys are more likely to have obsessions with and interests with objects such as trains or dinosaurs, very stereotypical examples. And girls are more likely to have obsessions, interests with people and animals, so more social interests and stuff like that. And also research by the National Autistic Society shows that fixations of girls on the autistic spectrum are more likely to be more intense. There's not really any research that shows why, maybe because it's a social aspect, maybe because it's associated mental health issues, I'm not really sure, so that could be a research topic in the future. So, as I just discussed, I've had quite a lot of obsessive behaviour with people, and this is very common in young girls, particularly on the autistic spectrum, but it is very, very under-researched. If you look at research on it, there is nothing. But I'm on a big online autistic community and it's very, very relevant at the moment, but there's just no academic research done on it, unfortunately. So I've had obsessive behaviour with people since I was 12 years old, and my obsessions with the people have lasted for different periods of time, with the minimum amount of time being a year, so they are quite long obsessions. It's not just sort of like, one day I like this person, the next day I like this. The very intense obsessions can last. I think my